So Apple this morning released iOS 18 to its developers, and we have our hands on it right here. And after using it for a couple hours now, here's a list of 50 new changes that Apple is adding for our iPhones in these upcoming months. So, compatibility. Shockingly, the iPhone SE second generation will be receiving iOS 18, including the iPhone XR. So if you have an iPhone XS, XS Max, or newer, you are in good hands and you will be able to receive this new upcoming firmware update of the next generation of iOS. So iOS 18, here it is. And I do want to address the elephant in the room, and that is this new theme wallpaper that I've selected because there's a lot of amazing customization tools that Apple gave us. So let me get started with the app layout on the home page. So by simply long holding anywhere, this will easily enter you into wiggle mode. On top here, where previously it was a plus, now we have an edit. By tapping edit, you can actually customize your app's themes right down here because we have the ability to go light mode, dark mode, or you can add a tint. And Apple even provided tools over here if we want to match with our existing wallpapers, because not only can you like eyeball it, try to tweak it to your own personal preference, but if you want to, you can actually use our color match tool right here. Give it a second to load. This is a beta. There we go. And you could use the exact color from the wallpaper if you're trying to pinpoint it to your own personal preference. Then if you're struggling between light mode and dark mode, instead of going control center and switching between those two modes, you have your dark mode ability to enable or disable from right here. But to keep things simple, I'm going to select light so it could be visually pleasing on the camera. And you just notice what I just did right there. I switched from large app icons, which will remove the text, giving this cleaner layout. But if you need the text, you can always select the default small, which will tell you what app is what right here. Personal preference, I love this customization ability. Other places where you can find useful customizations ability is if you enter wiggle mode, because here you can actually adjust the widget right then and there without having to delete it or add the widget and select a different size. You could just click and drag the icon like so. And then some of these apps also support widget support as well, because if you long hold on one of them, let me see if I could find one. So let's use MyFitnessPal. This is a third-party app that does support widgets, and I have quick access to its widget just by doing that. And I can also adjust the different sizes this way as well if I want the larger version of the widget that it supports. And if I like to put it back to normal to its app form, I could just do that without having to delete that widget and reinstall that app. That is really amazing. Other goodies you can find in the homepage is the ability to finally lock your apps. So if I don't want anybody to play my Nintendo emulators I have here, by long holding, if you see on the very top, there's a request Face ID icon. By enabling this, this will give you the ability to just lock that app right there or hide the app from your iPhone and put it in the Face ID request. So, well, requires Face ID to access it. So if I tap on here, it's gonna vanish. First, it needs Face ID to verify that's me, and then I just have to confirm that I want the app gone and hidden. Now, if I type in Delta, nothing's gonna pop up. Probably Delta is the only thing, like dental Delta is gonna pop up, but no, it doesn't even show that it's installed. It's keeping it away. The only way to locate it, if you go into this section in your app library all the way to the right side, and you tap on the eye icon, Face ID to verify, here you can actually view all the apps you have in your hidden album, and just tap on it, request Face ID one more time to verify, and bam, that app opens up one more time. And to repeat the process, tap the folder to unlock, and just long hold, and then don't require Face ID. And then verification, and it should be gone. I'm not sure if it goes back to the home page though. It doesn't. So you have to manually still take it back. But nonetheless, an amazing feature that everybody has been asking for. It doesn't even put it on my home page. I have to manually put it back on. Give me a second. Technical difficulties. Other cool things that can be found on the home page is if we lock our device and we long hold to go into our wallpaper section, Apple gave us a new wallpaper section. If I tap customize, this is one of the new wallpapers. It comes available in these 3 color choices to choose from. Actually, I'm sorry, 4. And it features that time effect as well. But down here, this is where you actually customize the 2 icons on the corner over here to your own personal preference. And by tapping this will give you a library access to all the icons you can swap it for. So if you want your home control, you could do that. but also feel free to pause it right here if you want to see the complete list. But everything that you could think of in Control Center, basically you could add it in the front. I'm pretty sure later on Apple will then allow it so third parties could also get in on some of this action and utilize that homepage, your own personal preference. Even tap to cache is located here, as well as pin my Apple Watch. And if you're excited to see if there's a new animation for the pin my Apple Watch, there isn't. It's the same thing. Let me try to show you guys. Pinning my Apple Watch. It's the same thing. Same goes for watchOS 11. It still gives you this icon. That hasn't really changed. But still in the customization, fonts, they didn't add any new fonts, but they did add this new rainbow color effect for your time. Not available on the date, unfortunately, this top portion of your complication. That's just something they added. Hopefully later in the future we have more customization if we want to change the RGB color looking thing that's going on right here. But just something to highlight. Fonts, again, exactly the same, just a new color for your time. And then you can also toggle between light mode or dark mode right here now, or leave it at default automatic. The same goes for depth effects. If you want the depth effect to overlap your time, you could adjust it right there. New complication. I'm sure we all seen this. This is a new complication layout. Everything is categorized now. If you go down, this will be where you'll find all your HomeKit stuff. If you go down that, this will be where you find like your accessibility side. And if you go down here, this will be your media control with greater detail. And your HomeKit, more HomeKit stuff apparently. Yep, I have 2 HomeKit stuff. I guess I just need that. And then if you keep going down, all your connection, wireless connectivity access here, including your VPN, as well as satellite status for your satellite messages. So long as your phone supports it, you'll be able to use that in case of an emergency, or on daily basis actually. But in this section, where it shows all your wireless connectivity stuff, again, notice right here it shows you your VPN access, as well as your satellite right here. And of course, you can always just long hold and continue long holding to quickly bypass the need to go in settings to switch to the different Wi-Fi network. That all remained the same. And in terms of unique features, haptic music, this is where you could go in and actually enable this. And if you long hold and tap add control, you no longer have to go into your iPhone settings to actually add stuff to your existing control center. You can find it all right here. And Apple added a lot of stuff, more stuff than what I was originally expecting. As you can see, this is where you can add actual background noise. It has a new icon this time, live listening. And if you keep scrolling down, you can find more stuff you can easily add. In addition to that, let me show you something pretty awesome. I'm not going to go in greater detail on this, so feel free to pause this to see what new things they added. But a cool thing that I do like to show you is, just like the widgets, you can also adjust the size on some of these applications. It glitched for some reason, but yeah, if I want my music to be larger on my control center, I can. You have total customization ability, and you can also move these icons around as well. And then down here, you can also create more if you like. So very similar to our homepage, you could add a lot of stuff to your control center. And then the flashlight toggle has a new animation. Now you can actually change the width of the flashlight. I tested it out earlier using voodoo magic. I'm kidding, but it does use some type of interesting technology that Apple just unlocked and gave us access to, where we can actually make this flashlight be more like a spotlight. And you can still increase or decrease the brightness this way as well as the width of the flashlight. Interesting stuff. And of course, tap the dynamic island to turn that off. This is only available to iPhones with the dynamic island, unfortunately. So if you have the notch, it doesn't allow you to do that. And then right here on top of the control center, if you notice, there's now a new turn off screen option. So you don't have to memorize the cheat code shortcut, which is volume up, volume down, and power, just to get to that screen. So in Safari, Apple did add new stuff. This is the previous update of iOS 17, when we had the ability to quickly switch between different like pages by simply doing that. But now Apple gave us easier tool to actually see the highlight on certain websites so we don't get bombarded with ads. So now by enabling that, I could either have Siri read out loud the page for me, or I could just quickly have access to the reader, eliminating the annoying ads when I'm just trying to read news articles or such on my smartphone. It's an amazing feature for that reason, and I like the fact that Apple just made it easier to access. You can even change the font too if you want a different font. Pretty unique stuff, amazing. And you can also adjust the text if it's too big or too small for you. And to get out of that, just hit the refresh. and you're back to the annoying bombarded with ads website. I'm kidding. I know they use this for ad revenue, or else these platforms will not exist. So another new feature can be located in the settings app. And if we go all the way to our main homepage in settings, if you scroll down, everything is cleaner because Control Center doesn't have to be here anymore. And your apps are now categorized in its own app section. So long are the days where you just like peruse here and it's just a massive unnecessary list. As you see right here, this is iOS 17. It was just an endless list of like a bunch of nonsense. Apple really did just categorize it and organize it right here. Now, other new features can be located in your iMessage section, because now whenever people respond to like certain messages in the group chats or even your one-on-one message with somebody else, the icons are now in color, but they're also split out. And when you tap on it, you can see who reacted to what, and you can also react to it as well. And your reactions are also different. And this little plus with an emoji icon allows you to actually include an emoji. So there you go. I put a rock with my friends' reactions. And if I like to schedule a message, I have total freedom to do so by tapping the plus icon and tap to more. There's a new send later, and if I like to put the send later to be on the top portion of my list, I could click and drag as you saw me do right there. But here I could actually create a schedule and then have it prepped and sent. So now on that day, that message will be sent out on my behalf. Or I could just, and then it just goes away like that. Unless you scroll down, you can see the message right there, and you could go back and tap edit. So you can now create schedule messages very easy without having to use the shortcut app like previously, and you could delete or go back and re-edit that if you want. Then while typing things, I'm just typing the default things. I don't know why my phone thinks I'll be one. I want to say the only way I could be a better player than you. Oh, my phone just wants to roast. There's a new A animation over here, which allows you to select these different animations. Ripple, Jupiter. That's how you have access to them. You can also have access to font as well by selecting the text. Select that. There you go. If I want to underline, I could do that. Or if I want to cross it off, or all of them, I could always do that. This gives me font ability just like that. Another way you could actually utilize this is by selecting a certain word and select this arrow where it says text effect. It will give you the ability to separate some of those texts to its own. And then later on, using Apple Intelligence, it will be able to suggest certain reactions this way as well. I'll go more in detail about the Apple Intelligence, why it's not available yet. Now, if you open up the map apps, now there's new hikes and custom routes you could create for offloading maps, ideal for hikes. And you no longer need to do subscribe to those like mountain hiking apps anymore, since it's now all integrated with Apple Maps. So that's a little preview of how that looks like. I'm not going to go into detail because it doesn't really work for me yet. It's a beta, it's buggy, but this is a little cool little preview and give you an idea how to do this. You could create like the custom routes like that. Now for voicemails, if you're having an incoming call and you sent them straight to voicemail, now it will actually show a live transcript of what they're talking about. This was a feature that Apple showed us in the past, but Apple rethemed it looks like, because now it has this different layouts. And here you could make the decision right here if you should pick up or just message them or just ignore in general. I like this freedom that Apple gave us. In the phone app is now there's new suggestions where you can actually type in a phone number and it will suggest based off your contacts or recently entered phone calls right here. So you can just tap on it, it will actually begin dialing. And then as time makes the video, this is not yet available, but in the near future, we will be able to record our phone calls, and the iPhone itself will use Siri to tell the other caller that this line is being recorded. So you can actually record phone calls in the near future, all utilizing the new upcoming Apple Intelligence. Then with Apple Cash, we'll be able to tap on another device just to send cash and the other person can accept. This way allowing us to make easy transactions like at a fair or something like that, or a friend and family, without having to actually have their contact information on our phone. Bypassing the need to use Zillow and scan like a QR code now with another Apple device, as long as they have Apple Cash set up, and complete the transaction that way without having to carry cash or use another third party. I like that feature that's coming out in the future as well. And then in the wallet app, another thing that's coming out is for event tickets. If you ever buy a ticket for an upcoming event, they will be able to use more information like map layout, seating arrangement. They'll be able to show you additional information about your upcoming events. And then in terms of CarPlay in iOS 18, here it is. It's a similar layout. If I go over here, it's going to show me my home page. Nothing has really changed here. Settings, there is this new accessibility tab, which you could actually enable voice control to actually use CarPlay with voice commands. It will even show the microphone icon that's listening right here. And then you also got filter options too, if you're hard at seeing, like colors and such, which is stuff I don't see other automakers actually integrate with their UI. And then if we go back above here, we also have sound, which allows us to actually silent our modes based off our devices. So turn on silent mode or do not change silent mode depending on your device. I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm going to experiment more on finding out exactly what that really means and how to use voice control. But in terms of appearance and wallpaper, let's see if we have any new wallpaper. It doesn't really seem like we received new wallpapers. Everything seems to be identical to like the previous one we always had. So no new wallpapers, but things could always change because after all, we are indeed in a beta. Yeah, everything's pretty much very similar. Now the calculator app, if you launch it, actually receive a lot of new features. I actually have access to my recently entered equations right here. And if you see here, I have the ability to do markups with my finger. So if I do like simple equations like this and just enter an equal sign, the iPhone will continue using my handwriting to solve this equation, which is quite interesting. And if you tap the calculator app, you go back to your basic calculator layout. You continue entering mathematical questions. And if you go into landscape mode, this is how it looks like. Gone are those other icons over here that we never really used. But if you need access to it, just tap the little calculator icon. And you can go ahead and change it to the default one where it previously was when you place it on landscape mode. Or you could just do math notes right here and then go back to landscape mode and go back in portrait mode and tap on enter new note. You can either type it in with an actual keyboard for like algebra, or again, you could continue markup like we originally were able to. I have no idea what I'm making. And then a new app that was added is the new password app. By clicking on here, this will give you access to all your passwords in case you're having a hard time having the OS itself autofill like a password, or you're entering a password on another device. Just unlock it here and it will give you access to all your recently used passwords, and you can search on it by a website or name or username even. Now Apple added a lot of accessibility stuff, one of which takes basically the technology that we find on Apple Vision, where we can actually control our iPhone, including iPads, by just looking at our device and not having to touch it. So to find this new ability, it's locating your settings and scroll down to accessibility. And then in here, just scroll down till you find eye tracking. And by enabling this, your phone is going to tell you to look at these dots as it's going to calibrate everything. And from my personal experience, it works shockingly really well. So a pro tip is when you're setting this up, make sure you have the phone literally leveled at you. Just go through that and you'll be able to soon be able to control your iPhone by just looking at it. And then for some reason, the mirror Apple Watch was removed, but it's back here. Now you can actually control your Apple Watch from your iPhone like we used to. So I'm literally controlling my Apple Watch from here. Now as for Apple Intelligence, unfortunately it's not yet available, and something tells me this may be a different version of the default Siri that we are used to. It still is Siri, but it looks to be a more like a different type of Siri, if that makes sense. We still have the traditional Siri, which is the ring right here. But the Siri that they were showing us was an outer ring. So it's like a feature that you can enable to have the more advanced ChatGPT partnered Siri, I guess, I'm assuming. Because by tapping on the homepage double, like 2 times, it doesn't activate Siri at all. Also, if you notice, the icons on the side over here also adjust to the buttons. So just something that was kind of cool. They added like a cool new animation. But with that new Apple Intelligence, create and generate images, suggestions, and answer any complication task that you may want Siri to do for you, to guide you on how to turn on a certain setting or turn off a certain setting, which is quite amazing. But unfortunately, only 2 iPhones currently are compatible for that new intelligence. Siri, unfortunately, Apple Intelligence. It's only the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max that will be receiving it when it comes available during the fall. But as the time making this video, it's not yet available, probably due to the fact this was a recent partner up with ChatGPT and Apple. So since it's all new, it's probably still buggy and Apple just doesn't want to unveil it as of yet. At least that's what I'm assuming so, because it's not part of this update at all. And I don't think there's any word when it's coming out in the near future, aside from the official release date this fall with the next lineup of iPhones like the iPhone 16s. Other than that, there you guys have it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you found this video informative and useful, leave this video a like. If you'd like to see a more in-depth comparison between iOS 18 and iOS 17 to really see the actual dramatic difference side by side, I definitely encourage you to watch this video over here where I go more in detail on all the new changes and updates. Thank you so much for watching.